Hello and welcome to Sarcastic Reviews. Today we're going to be talking about Transformers: The Last Night, starring Mark Wahlberg and Anthony Hopkins. To start with, this movie is not as bad as everybody says it is, but it's not good either. A lot of it can come down to really bad editing and also some bad writing. But for me, I've been a fan of the Transformers movies, some more than others, but I liked Extinction. I liked the new change with Mark Wahlberg. I thought that really, added some new life to the series. But this movie, they did a lot of things wrong. For one thing, the human characters barely have any lines. It's just all action. You don't know anything that's going on. Well, you do, but not. You don't know anything about the characters themselves. It starts out with Merlin, played by Stanley Tucci, who played a different character in the last movie, so it's odd that he plays Merlin now. And then it turns out that the Transformers were on Earth during King Arthur times, and actually helped King Arthur and Merlin, and gave him some technology that was his magic staff. So now, in present day, they need to find that magic staff because Cybertron is trying to merge with Earth. Because Earth is Unicron. And, for anybody who knows, I'm not a huge follower of Transformers from, the cartoons and stuff, but I remember the movie that came out when I was a kid, and Unicron was like a bad planet-eating thing, and now it's Earth. It just seems so odd. But there's the main villain is this Contessa, who's mechanical. She's ruling Cybertron now, and that's where Optimus Prime ends up, because in the last movie you saw at the end of it, he was flying into space. And just to let you know, I am talking about stuff that's already in all the trailers, but if you haven't seen the trailers, then there's spoilers. And again, this is just what's in the trailers. So, she brainwashes Optimus Prime to go get this staff. And in the meantime, the Mark Wahlberg gets involved in the chase, mostly because Anthony Hopkins tracks him down and sets him on the way. He's kind of plays like the same kind of character that Ian McKellen played in the Da Vinci Code. He just shows up in the middle and starts all this exposition stuff, explaining everything that's going on, and then sending him on a task. But most of the time, Anthony Hopkins' character, he's used for comic relief, but it's not done very well. It's not, to me anyways, it's not funny seeing Anthony Hopkins say things like bitch and ride, or move bitch, get out of the way, or things like that. It's just, or yell shut up to a bunch of people. It's not funny. There's a few places where the comic relief really fails. Mark Wahlberg is in hiding after the last movie, but he has an assistant that he hired off of Craigslist, and this assistant is supposed to be comic relief too, but he's not funny at all. There's a robot butler of Anthony Hopkins who's also supposed to be comic relief, but all of his jokes are land flat. There's bad editing. There's fights. There's one fight between two major robots, Transformers, one Autobot and a Decepticon, and they start a fight in a junkyard. It cuts away to Mark Wahlberg and the humans running away from the junkyard, and then it never cuts back to that fight. So we have no idea what happened until 20 minutes later when we see those characters again. It's just, it makes no sense. It's really bad editing choices. There's a few of those where they cut off things where it seems like they're in the middle of a conversation, or it's at the start of a conversation, and it just ends. There's this back and forth. Josh Duhamel is in this, and he's they don't really explain what he's doing. He keeps showing up with the TRF, which is the Transformers Resistance Force, I think they're called, and he keeps butting heads with the leader of that force. But the generals are all telling him he's in charge. So why does he keep butting heads with these guys? They keep overruling what he's saying. They actually like push him around, like physically push him, and they push him, and it cuts and never goes back to that. It never says what happens. It never. There's no like going, having a conversation about that. There's nothing. It just ends with a push. Somebody pushing a superior officer in the middle of a big fight with Transformers because they disagree over how to deal with the Transformers, and nothing ever gets followed up. It's just stuff like that throughout the movie that because it just seems like a lot of things ended up on the cutting room floor that could have made it a lot less confusing. The girl that's in the trailers, she's barely in the movie. Like, they really mislead you there and make it look like it's, kind of the new generation of people fighting with Transformers. And she's got a bit of a story, but it's told in 2 lines, and that's it. And then, she disappears for half the movie, comes back later. Josh Duhamel barely has any lines. He really doesn't do much at all throughout the movie. Like, he shows up, but most of what he says is just army talk. Like, set up your guys over there or whatever. Like, it's nothing that forwards the plot at all. And Mark Whalberg is okay, but again, like, way less characterization than the last movie. And overall, like, the whole thing with Optimus Prime and Bumblebee, the fight that they showed in the trailer, that's just a very brief thing at the end of the movie. Like, it's just, there's a lot of stuff that got cut. They're trying to just go action and all action. And that's the part that's done well. That's the part that makes the movie at least a little bit entertaining, is the action. The CG is great. Like, the set pieces are awesome. The things, when you see, like, Cybertron trying to merge with Unicron because one planet has to steal life from the other in order for one planet to survive. So there's this whole big thing where Cybertron is trying to merge with Earth. And that's pretty cool. And the Transformers are great. They look great. There's some voice work by John Goodman, and even Steve Buscemi shows up in a cameo as a voice. But again, his character is involved in some conversation, helps out with some exposition. They cut away from him, and then he's gone. They never show him leave. They never show the end of that conversation. It's really bad when the cutting, the editing is really bad. They definitely left some stuff on the cutting room floor. But, yeah, the action's good. John Turturro comes back for a tiny little cameo. But overall, like, if you've liked the other Transformers movies, it's not as good as the rest. Just because of the bad storytelling, really. Like, there's 3 writers attached to this, which usually isn't a good sign. And there's probably more that helped out with things that weren't credited, and you could tell by the bad dialogue and the bad jokes that it wasn't written very well. And that's probably why so much stuff ended up on the cutting room floor, because it could easily be cut and replaced by action. But overall, Transformers: The Last Knight, it's not a terrible movie, it's not a good movie, it's just average. If you want to see some action, you don't care about stories, you just want to see Transformers fight, you want to see action set pieces, it's a decent movie to watch. But it's definitely not something you want to rush out and pay big money for, or buy on Blu-ray when it comes out. It's not worth it. Wait till it's like $5 on Blu-ray, then it'll be worth it to add to the rest of the collection. But again, that's only if you like the other Transformers movies. So that's Transformers: The Last Night. And as far as my rating, I would say it's a 5 out of 10. So if you like this video, like, share, subscribe, or all of the above. Thank you, and have a nice day.